Hi guys, it's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and it is now Saturday, September 29th. It's 12:19 a.m. So it's just slipped over the border from the 28th to the 29th, and we are now into Saturday. But I wanted to, and even though I had covered Q's post, I want to cover some more stuff because this stuff is not being covered in the mainstream media, and of course we wouldn't expect it to be, considering. But what is happening is that there's a lot of stuff just happening right beneath the surface. It's right beneath the surface, and I really believe that this is setting itself up to be a huge explosion in our country, and I would not be surprised. And I don't call me a fearmonger because I am anything but I told you this a couple days ago. I really felt strongly that there would be protests, that there would be people very upset if Brett Kavanaugh gets confirmed to the Supreme Court, and I still stand by that statement. I believe that there will be people that will literally lose their minds over it because in their mind they believe that he has sexually assaulted a number of women, which I don't believe. And the more I read and the more I dig, the more I am absolutely 100% convinced. So I want to cover this stuff because I think that people need to be aware of this. And the first thing I'm going to cover is this. And let me get out to there. All right. Civil war alert. Leftists openly plot mass executions of conservatives as Democrats release home addresses of Republican senators. Can you believe that? Yeah, they're giving people the home addresses of Republican senators, and they're openly plotting their execution. Yeah, this is happening in America. America. Home of the free, land of the brave. Yeah. And you know what? None of us can say that we don't see this coming. Because if you don't see this coming, then your eyes are closed. Now, I, as much as you, am hoping that Donald Trump and Q and the military and whoever is behind, the good in the government has got this under control. And please don't be patronizing and say, oh, just trust the plan. Trust the plan. It's all going to be fine. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. But has being alert ever been a bad thing? Has being prepared ever been a bad thing? How can that be a bad thing? If I'm telling people to be alert, be prepared, keep their eyes open, report what's happening in your community. This is not good. It's not good. And you can see it. I have been glued, to this, the hearings and everything. And the things that I am seeing take place before my eyes are literally, it's like I cannot believe it's America. I mean, anyway, let me go on. As leftists continue to lose political power in America due to elections, President Trump and Supreme Court nominations, Brett Kavanaugh, their activities are becoming more militant and extremist. Now we've learned that left-wing groups are openly discussing mass executions and planned murders of prominent conservatives, and they're using Twitter to carry out their attacks. Yeah, that would be the same Twitter that keeps banning all the conservatives. Yeah, that's the same Twitter. It's fine if you say you want to take a sword and cut off the head of a Republican. But oh my gosh, if you have a conservative idea about anything, then we got to shut you down, kick you out. That's what it's come to. But the conservative or the liberals, they can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. What about that guy that wanted to get into politics, and he was saying that it was okay to have sex with his little girl? He thought that was okay, as long as she thought it was okay. Yeah. I'm sure every child is just begging to have sex with their father. I mean, it's disgusting, and I really, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. Twitter is just one of several tech giants that selectively bans conservative speech but refuses to remove radical left-wing users who openly call for violence and murder. Yeah, because violence and murder is okay, but being conservative, oh my gosh, that's got to go. For political reasons, tech giants have decided to protect left-wing terrorist groups in America, becoming complicit in the escalation of the coming civil war. As just one example among hundreds, see this article from InfoWars. Kill Trump, hang him, hunt him. Facebook page doesn't violate Facebook community standards. No, well, naturally it wouldn't, because, if you call to kill the president, then gee, what's wrong with that? But if you're a conservative and you think it's wrong to abort babies, then my gosh, you've got to go. Now, the Daily Caller reports that someone in the House of Representatives has doxed conservative U.S. senators. Now, let me guess. I bet you that would be someone like, could be any one of the Democrats, Schumer, Feinstein, Pelosi. No, Pelosi wouldn't remember. I don't know, but any number of them would do it. I could see them doing it. So they've doxed conservative U.S. senators by using a congressional computer to publish their home addresses and phone numbers to Wikipedia. Doxing means publishing someone's personal private information, such as the location where they live, their social security number, or their private phone number. Now, let me tell you, if you were a senator, or let's not even a senator, maybe you have a lesser political, position somewhere, or let's just say you work for the police, and you work for your city's police, and you've made enemies because you've made maybe some drug busts that they weren't very happy about going to prison, or what have you. Maybe you gave some tickets that people were annoyed with, parking tickets or speeding tickets or whatever. Do you want your home address so that every criminal on the street knows how to find you? Would that make you fearful? It would make me fearful. Yeah, it really would. So maybe I'm just a coward. So anyway, so they've published all of their home addresses and everything. Importantly, doxing members of the U.S. Senate allows left-wing kill teams to physically locate where those senators live. Armed with this information and driven to violent hysteria by complicit lying media, left-wing kill teams can assault the homes of U.S. senators while they sleep and attempt to execute those senators and their families. As this article shows below, left-wing activists are openly and explicitly discussing such plans on Twitter, and they are not being banned by Twitter or other tech giants. Yes, you need to know this. You need to know this. I am not a fearmonger. I'm really not. I am somebody who is realistic, and this is what's happening. And if you are not out on Twitter, and if you are not seeing this, then please ask around, because somebody will have seen it. I have. And I can't even use the word alarming. It's more than that. I just cannot. It's almost so surreal that I feel like I'm dreaming. I feel like, okay, I'm dreaming, I'm going to wake up and everything's going to be normal. Well, I'm not. I'm not going to wake up and everything's going to be normal. I hope that we are on the way with the military tribunals and all this. I really hope that this is the real deal. I have until this point believed it, but what I am seeing now is alarming. And I think I, for one, have underestimated the angst of the left and to what lengths they are willing to go. Look at what they just did to an innocent man. They had no problem whatsoever destroying the life of an innocent man. No problem whatsoever. They did it and they were laughing about it too. They thought it was great fun. Great fun. Let's see who we can destroy next. But next, they won't be destroying reputations. They'll be destroying lives physically. So let's go on here. The doxed senators include Senators Lindsey Graham, who gave a roaring speech yesterday condemning the dirty tactics of Democrats like Senator Feinstein, Mike Lee, and Orrin Hatch, the Daily Caller reports. They appear to be targeting Republican members of the committee after they questioned Judge Kavanaugh, a Hatch spokesman told the Daily Caller News Foundation. A Lee staffer confirmed the Senate's home address in Utah and personal cell phone number were posted to the public page. The doxing took place immediately after Senator Graham ripped into the Democrats at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing yesterday. It was timed, in other words, to target those who are arguing for the defense of Brett Kavanaugh. While doxing alone is not a call for mass executions, there's more to this story. So basically, and we saw Dianne Feinstein, trying to, sway Jeff Flake and the other woman, I can't remember her name now, but it starts with an M. Anyway, they were probably saying, "Look, guys, you know what? You don't support us. Everything's going to be made public." Maybe that's what they were saying. Well, they sure followed through, didn't they? The full extent of the planned violence and mass executions become apparent when you see what's being openly, yes, that's right, openly discussed on Twitter. No bans for those people, though. No, they're fine. Oh, they're fine, upstanding citizens. Just because they want to kill, the conservatives or the president or whoever. Oh, well, but, you who disagrees with, that Brett Kavanaugh is a rapist, then, well, you've got to go. Off Twitter you go. Bye-bye. Writer Deborah Hine has uncovered truly shocking details that she describes in a September 27th article on PJ Media. It begins, communist agitators took to Twitter this week to brainstorm strategies for a violent armed insurrection against their perceived enemies. Dr. Bones, the co-host of the far-left podcast, The Guillotine, started the conversation going with his 5,000 plus Twitter followers. Bones, at Old Bonesy on Twitter, asked, "Hey, quick little question for military-minded lefties. Should leftists train organize in an insurgent focus when they blend into a civilian population for potential attacks, or a more militia structure focused on maintaining turf?" As PJ Media reports, this left-wing group with over 15,000 Facebook followers calls for ambushes and assassinations against conservatives. The two hosts go by the handles Old Bonesy and Dead Irish Reeb. As PJ Media explains, the pair seem to be huge fans of mass-murdering communist dictators and revolutionaries like Mao Zedong and Che Guevara. Here are some suggestions from Dr. Bones, the apparent leader of the left-wing group, now calling for execution squads to murder prominent conservatives. Yeah. Yes, this is happening in our country. Yes, it is. Hey, quick little question for military-minded lefties. So here is the actual tweet. Not going to read it again. And here, Dr. Bones, I was thinking about this today. In the South, where the right outguns us and potentially has larger numbers, organize as hidden cells, unknown even to the population, except the territory may be grabbed by larger right-leaning forces, but bleed them dry once they take control. And here's another of his wonderful, lovely posts that I'm sure everybody agrees should be just left right there on Twitter. Right. Where did we go here? I lost my place. I got all excited. Hang on here. And let me see. So, day by day, you're just some people really into helping everybody. Never mention nighttime activities. Of course, it would vary by location, but I figured depending on tactical thrust, holding, protection versus stealth attack, it would change your weapon choice wildly. Yeah. We know exactly what he's talking about. Day by day, you're just some people really into helping everybody. Never mention nighttime activities. Uh-huh. Instead of a full-size AR, which is pretty goddamn obvious, according to Dr. Bones, I'm thinking having people prioritize compact and easy concealable platforms. He's talking about weapons. Something you could keep under a jacket and never tip anyone off to. Probably like what's in your pants. And just keep it there. Nobody'd ever be tipped off. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm really jacked up tonight. I really am. I'm upset because I'm grasping the full extent of what's happening here, and I'm not liking it at all. I'm sorry. I can't even be funny because it's upsetting. And I know there's people out there that are just going to patronize me and say, just trust. Q's got everything under control. Everything's fine. Yeah. Well, you know what? The police force in this little town I'm in, they pretty much have things under control. It's very rare. Crime is very rare here, but I still lock my door. You know what I'm saying? They can say all they want. Everything's under control. We've got everything under control, but I'm still going to lock my door. So what I'm saying is, okay, I'm not saying that Q doesn't have things under control, that President Trump doesn't have things under control, but I'm saying that this is alarming, and, we can't just ignore this. I don't know what we do about it other than just remaining alert and, keeping our wits about us and being aware of where we are and who's around us, because there is danger. So anyway, organize as hidden cells, unknown even to the population. Bleed them dry once they take control. Instead of our full-size AR, which is pretty goddamn obvious, I'm thinking having people prioritize compact and easy concealable platforms, something you could keep under a jacket, never tip anyone off to. An apparent follower of the radical left-wing group adds, having a common language and tactics is unbelievably important in future situations where your 5-person cell has an opportunity for a big kill and can group up with 4 other cells to get the needed firepower. Yes, there are people discussing things like this in our country against us, and they're welcome on Twitter, where you and I, law-abiding citizens, tax-paying citizens, we're not welcome on Twitter. What the hell is wrong? I'm sorry, I don't usually, I don't usually even use language like that, but very, very, very rarely. But I'm upset here. It's just, I guess the full weight of this has just kind of hit me at what a vulnerable place in history we are. Here's another one. Hey, quick little question for military-minded lefties. Should leftists train, organize, an insurgent? Okay, we looked at that one already. And there's the one on the common language. Another member of the group, going by the handle Board Anterior, adds, like a Boy Scout, be prepared. Pistol, shotgun, pistol caliber SBR, rifle caliber SBR, AR-15, AK-47, AR-10. With this, you're prepared for a wide range of tactical scenarios. Different loadouts for different members of squad will provide flexibility for specific applications of force. Do you think these people are kidding? Because I don't. Here it is, the guillotine. Thoughts, ideas? Here's that actual tweet about the pistols and everything. Another user named Mutual Revolt chimes in about the terror cell structure that leftists will adopt to carry out maximum violence and carnage. The less information one person has on everyone in the group defends against one person being caught and spilling everything on the network. A network of distributed only necessary information gives more flexibility and safety to the movements to disrupt. Another user, going by the handle Captain Howdy, has been covered by PJ Media before. As PJ Media reports, Captain Howdy is a particularly nasty St. Louis Antifa who has been featured at PJ Media and Far Left Watch before. In January of 2018, he encouraged his followers to dox GOP officials and show up at their homes. He also offered to pay someone to assassinate President Trump. Incredibly, he still maintains a Twitter account. How do you like that? And here is this Hunter Mutual Revolt. The bleeding approach is going to be the most useful and honestly the most effective long term. Sustaining a full militia necessitates central supply chains, bureaucratic information dispersion, and heavier level of trust through a bigger number of people, all of which raise the cost. Whoops. Yeah. And of recruiting into the ranks, especially if you're a heavy martial state, getting people involved will mean making sure they and their whole family will face as little risk as possible. Being able to sustain outward civilian life protects most of those involved. And we looked at that one. Less information one person has on everyone in the group, of course. And anti-Trump resistors inside the DOJ use government computers to find and share home addresses of conservatives. PJ Media also correctly points out that a recent Project Veritas video caught a DOJ resistance employee admitted to using government computers to discover and share the license plates and home addresses of targeted conservatives. This means that left-wing operatives inside the DOJ, FBI, and other anti-Trump organizations are using government resources to set up conservatives for left-wing kill teams. Hello? The DOJ employee caught on tape is named Allison Haraber. She's a member of the so-called Democratic Socialists of America. Oh, surprise! A radical left-wing terrorist group with strong ties to Marxist and communist ideologies. She uses government resources to discover the home addresses of a conservative Trump supporter, then doxed that information to her DSA conspirators who waged a stalking episode at the personal home of the target in order to intimidate that person. It won't be long before this escalates to sending kill teams to such homes to carry out murder plots and political assassinations. Now, you know I'm not going to be able to tell on the outside of this video what it is about, because not only will it be banned, but I will be as well. So, yeah. Anyway, my warning for all conservatives is that it wouldn't be long before conservative Supreme Court justices like Brett Kavanaugh are targeted for political assassinations by the radical left-wing kill teams. They openly talk about such plans, and they are clearly driven to mass mental illness by a complicit anti-American media cartel that continues to indoctrinate left-wing masses with hatred and lies about America and its political leaders. Many DSA members already see themselves as waging a resistance campaign against the United States government, and they are engaging in daily sabotage to destroy the U.S. government infrastructure from within, all while using government tools to target their political opponents, all of whom happen to be conservatives and Trump supporters. Haraber is caught on tape via Project Veritas saying, What's kind of lucky is at the DOJ, we can't really get fired. She also admits, so we ran the license plate. We cannot do it officially, but admits they run license plate on their intended targets unofficially. Notably, even after being caught on video admitting to these felony crimes, Haraber has not been arrested or charged with anything, proving once again that even when left-wing radicals are caught confessing to their crimes, they are never held accountable. So there's a lot more here, and I don't think I need to get into every single thing, every little nitty-gritty, because I've got a lot more to cover, but we need to be aware of this. Like, they don't just hate us, they want to kill us. Unbelievable. We must all be ready for the rapid escalation of violence by deranged, lawless leftists who are committed to taking over America and murdering all prominent conservatives. Yeah. I know. It seems very surreal, and it seems like I'm being a fearmonger here. I'm not. I'm being realistic. I promise you, these people are out there. I promise you. Now, I'm not saying that there's 5 of them behind every bush and that we have to, I think that we need to take caution as we would anyway in our daily life, because nowadays, unfortunately, terror can happen anywhere. It can happen in the heart of America just as easy as it can happen in New York City. So, we just need to be aware of our surroundings, take precautions, lock your door, make sure your car's locked. I know a lot of people in smaller towns leave their cars unlocked. They leave their doors unlocked. It's just not wise anymore. It's just not. It's unfortunate, but anyway. It's not difficult to see where this is all headed. The desperate, lawless left, now apparently led by the deep state treasonous criminals like Senator Dianne Feinstein, is willing to do anything they think might be required to destroy their political opponents. Complicit in all of this are the tech giants like Google, Facebook, and Twitter, all of which have selectively silenced conservative channels while protecting and even promoting left-wing terrorism groups that are openly calling for violence against conservatives. And we know that. So I'm going to move on from here because there's a lot more to cover. But let me go back. Yeah. All right. I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go, the next one really isn't as related. It's a little bit less serious, and I'll probably cover that at another time, but this is kind of interesting. And I have another bombshell for you later. Not too far later, because I don't want this video to be really, really long, but look at this. Records show Dr. Ford is not a licensed psychologist. May have committed perjury. Now, apparently, let's go down here. Testifying under oath before the Senate Judiciary Committee, Christine Blasey Ford identified herself as a psychologist, but records indicate this is a false statement under California law. Someone at Stanford University also appears to have caught the blunder and edited Ford's faculty page. Just one sentence into her sworn testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee regarding allegations of sexual assault against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford may have told a lie. After thanking members of the committee on Thursday and while under oath, Ford opened her testimony saying, "My name is Christine Blasey Ford. I'm a professor of psychology at Palo Alto University and a research psychologist at Stanford University School of Medicine. The issue lies with the word psychologist and Ford potentially misrepresenting herself and her credentials, an infraction that is taken very seriously in the psychology field as well as under California law." So, and basically, what that is if you have a, like I've got a BA in psychology, and if I had wanted to become a psychologist, I would have had to have done my MA, and then I would have had to do my PhD in psychology. I've got my MA in English, but not psychology. I left that field, but once you've got your PhD in psychology, you may call yourself a doctor because you are a doctor. You have a PhD. You're a PhD doctorate. You have your doctorate of philosophy. And but you cannot call yourself a psychologist yet. You have to be licensed as a psychologist and do additional coursework. And so, getting to the heart of this is basically she has not done that. So she cannot call herself a psychologist. However, I think there's a fine line here. And although she may be in some trouble with California, she can call herself a doctor because she does have a PhD. She cannot call herself a psychologist because she is not licensed as a psychologist. There's a fine line there. And that doesn't apply to a lot of other, I've got my master's in English, thinking about going on to my PhD in English, and I would then be called a doctor, but I wouldn't need any other, nobody would mistake me for a doctor. But in psychology, it would be easy to mistake somebody that just has their PhD, and I shouldn't say just has their PhD because it's a lot of work and it's not as easy as it sounds. But that doesn't necessarily mean she can go out and start taking patients and practicing psychology. See what I'm saying? So, in other professions, you don't have that. Nobody's going to, an English doctor is never going to be mistaken for a real doctor, like a medical doctor or a, psychological doctor. And psychologists have this, whereas to be a psychiatrist, you go to medical school first, and then you do, your residency in psychiatry. So they never have that problem really, but this really is a problem because you could have your PhD in psychology and still not be a psychologist. See what I'm saying? So that's where all this is coming in. And so she apparently never did all the other stuff. She's not a registered psychologist in the state of California, from what I understand reading this. So why would she have said so? And apparently they have now gone out and edited her faculty page. So someone is aware that she's misrepresenting her credentials. Now it says it is common for academics and researchers in psychology to not hold a license. That's true. California law does not prohibit anyone from engaging in research, teaching, or other activities associated with psychology if they are not licensed, so long as those individuals do not use the word psychologist when referring to themselves publicly. So if you have your PhD in psychologist, you can be a professor of psychology. You can teach psychology until, the cows come home. But if they ever do come home, I don't know. Where are the cows anyway? But anyway, you can't say you're a psychologist because you're not. Having your PhD in psychologist does not automatically make you a psychologist. She, of all people, would know that. She would know that, but she's lying. So if she lies about that, that's a pretty major lie. Would she lie about some guy grinding up against her? But they were both fully clothed. I don't understand all this trauma from that. I really don't. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think there was something in his pants. I don't know. Come on. Anyway, it's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. And I hope that they do catch her in that. I really do. She lies about that. What else? All right. I'm not going to belabor that because there's juicier things to get to. Well, look at this. You know all that stuff about the polygraph and she even said something in her testimony about, they asked her about a polygraph and she says, yes, I remember them hooking me up to something and me crying a lot. They asked her 2 questions. 2 questions. Wait till you see this. Wait till you see this. All right. Are you ready? Ford polygraph results released. Did they just blow a huge hole in her story? Oh yeah. A huge, humongous, gaping hole. Yeah. The narrative that liberals have hung their hopes on to stop Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh is falling apart. There are now so many holes in her story. It's incredible Democrats are still running with it. In fact, it's surprising to me the holes are so big that the Democrats haven't just all fallen out of it. Fallen out of those holes. Christine Blasey Ford, yeah, the holes are that big. They could all fall out of them. Christine Blasey Ford is the woman who accused Kavanaugh of drunkenly groping her at a party way back when he was 17 years old, but she had been largely unable to produce solid evidence or witnesses to back up her serious claims. One of the only points in her favor was that she took a lie detector polygraph test, which was widely reported by the media as supporting her story by showing that she wasn't lying. Well, we can tell whose pocket the media is in, because if the media really knew what that polygraph entailed, they would have been too embarrassed to print that. That is, until now, on Wednesday, the actual details from that polygraph were released to the public, and they make her already flimsy story seem downright unbelievable. Yeah, I believe in her story about as much as I believe, I don't know, the moon is made of cheese. If it was, I'd be there already, and I'd be taking one of those little spreader things, and I'd be putting them on Ritz crackers. I'm just telling you, that's what I'd be doing. All right, so let's see about this lie detector test. Bizarrely, the person conducting the polygraph, who was a third-party examiner and not a law enforcement official. Right, you heard that right. They're a third-party examiner and not a law enforcement official. This is what they did. They had Ford scribble down her nearly 40-year-old memory of the drunken party and then asked her two vague questions. Those two questions were, is any part of your statement false? And did you make up any part of your statement? Now, let's see this well-educated woman's statement. Here it is right here. They got her to write it down just a few minutes before the so-called polygraph test. Now, I don't think that this is gonna, okay, maybe. I don't know if you can see that well or not, but here is her entire statement, scratched out in places, too well thought out, because you actually, when you're writing out of emotion, you don't take time to do all these little scratches and stuff. I know that. Anyway, basically, one high school summer boy in the 80s, I went to a small party in the Montgomery County. There were 4 boys and a couple of girls. At one point, I went up a small stairwell to use the restroom. At that time, I was pushed by, and here she says 2 persons, but then she scratched that out. Well, who were they? Was it 1? Was it 2? Was it 5? Was it 10? Was it 20? Was it a big bear in a costume? Who was it? Into a bedroom and was locked in the room and pushed onto a bed. Somebody laid on top of me, I guess that says Brett, laid on top of me and something to remove my clothes while groping me. He held me down. He put his hand on my mouth to stop me from screaming for help. His friend Mark was in the room and both were laughing. Mark jumped on top of us 2 or 3 times. I had to get out under successfully. I mean, this doesn't even sound like, a full-grown woman. But anyway, so she writes this down, this little whatever it was. It's not even legible. And so she writes this down, and they ask her, now, is your statement, what did they say? What were the 2 questions? I lost it now. I think it's up here. Polygraph letter, no, that's getting into the, oh, come on, where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, So the two questions: is any part of your statement false? Now this is what she just wrote down. And she says no, presumably. Did you make up any part of your statement? I guess she answered no. But here's the thing. This is absolutely important to understand. Again, the polygraph test didn't actually ask the main accuser any questions about Kavanaugh. His name was never brought up by the interviewer. Hello? Don't you think that would be a little bit, I mean, that's pretty important when you're accusing somebody and you're offering them and you offer the victim a polygraph, and then you never ask about the person that is the perpetrator? What the heck is that? Because it's not a polygraph. It gets even more strange. Oh no, not even more strange. You mean it could get more strange? Apparently it could, and it is. Instead, Ford was simply asked if she believed her own handwritten statement. Well, she can believe in stars and twinkles too. I don't know. It gets even more strange as nowhere in that written statement does the name Kavanaugh appear. Oh. And to make matters worse, the statement from Ford that she was then asked about by the polygraph examiner directly contradicts different versions of the alleged event that the accuser has also given. Ford's polygraph letter contradicts the letter she sent to Feinstein, pointed out Charles C.W. Cook, the editor of the National Review. Polygraph letter says 4 boys and a couple of girls were at the party. Letter to Feinstein says me and 4 others, he continued. No way to reconcile the two, irrespective of whether she's counting herself in the polygraph letter. It's important to remember that fundamental facts, such as how many people witnessed the alleged event and what their genders were, have been up in the air already. Even journalists from the left-leaning Washington Post are seemingly unable to keep the details straight. Well, it's hard to keep the details straight when the victim herself can't even keep them straight. So, yeah, there's all these contradictions in it, and it wasn't even given by a professional. And then July 30th to Dianne Feinstein, it was me and 4 other people. August 7th to polygraph examiner, there were 4 boys and a couple of girls. September 16th to the Washington Post reporter, there were 3 boys and 1 girl. The Federalist co-founder, Sean Davis, posted to Twitter summarizing the inconsistencies. Here's another huge point. The fact that Ford passed the polygraph based on a statement that she later herself contradicted while telling the story to other people shows how unreliable this evidence truly is. Contrary to how it's shown in the movies, a polygraph can't actually determine if a person is lying or not. All it can do is indicate how calm or stressed somebody is compared to a baseline. It can be used to indicate deception, but a completely delusional person can also pass a polygraph. That is a true statement because Ted Bundy passed a polygraph test. So, in other words, Ford may believe that something happened at the party 4 decades ago, and she may be confident that some version of her story is true, but the vagueness and the unscientific nature of the process proves absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm going to leave this for now because got lots more to get to. All right, now let's move down here. And I just stuck this in here. Why would Christine Blasey Ford's parents and siblings refuse to sign a public letter of support for her? Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Because I know that my friends and family, if I asserted something, they would absolutely support me because they know that I don't lie and that if I say something happened, it did. I don't know any of my friends who would not support me in a matter like that. And I know for certain my mother and my stepfather would. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have no siblings. My only brother has passed away. But I know my brother would if he was alive. And why? Why would they? Because they know. They know me. They know my character. They know that that would be absolutely fundamentally against who I am to do something like that. But the fact that her parents or siblings refuse, what does that tell you? Well, it doesn't prove anything, but it is an indication. Now, it is reported that Democrat California Senator Dianne Feinstein, ranking minority member of the committee, invited liberal actress turned activist Alyssa Milano to the hearing as an honored guest. And she wreaked havoc, of course. And here she is. I am worth $77 million on $170K a year salary. Did I sell you out? You sold the whole country out, Senator. Yes, the whole country. And here is something from Twitter. First thing FBI would do is unscrub her social media and see what she deleted, talking about Christine Ford, Blasey Ford. Then check the polygraph test. She still won't let anyone see it and what the questions were. Well, yeah, naturally. I wouldn't want anybody to see that either, because if that was me, I'd be embarrassed. Check her phone records to look for collusion and coordination. This could be risky for her. Oh, it will be risky for her because let me tell you, it's all going to come out. And here is the bombshell. Are you ready? I hope you're ready. This picture comes from Christine Blasey's husband, Russell Ford's Facebook page. She currently is operating under Paula Blasey for her profile name. Now, okay, I can understand that. I wouldn't be wanting to go under my name if I was involved in something as infamous as this. But let's go further. She is presently employed by Concept Therapeutics in the San Francisco Bay Area, a maker of an abortion pill and a $1.2 billion business. She and her husband are both in the medical industry. She authored 8 articles on abortion drugs. Oh, did she now? That's her. There's no mistaking that. And then this, which is very small and it's very hard to see, this is on her husband's page. This says Paula Blasey. That is Christine Blasey Ford. There is no mistaking it. No mistaking it. So isn't that interesting? She doesn't even do what she says she does. Nope. She's employed by Concept Therapeutics in the San Francisco Bay Area. Unless this is an absolute scam, which I don't think it is. I don't think it is. And then here's Mark Meadows. Leadership has agreed to call Rod Rosenstein before Congress for a closed-door hearing with our panel investigating so he can explain his alleged comments on wiring POTUS, as well as other inconsistent statements. If Mr. Rosenstein fails to show up, we will subpoena him. Now, this is, not in the same vein as where we were going, but still important. And here is Bill Mitchell from Twitter saying, since Ford's lawyers are working pro bono, why does she need $1 million in GoFundMe money? Now, that was one of the interesting things that I noticed during the hearing, because they kept that was one of the things that she just didn't seem to understand. Funny how that happens, but when they were asking about money, she had no idea how her lawyers were getting paid or where the money was, or that she had, $1 million in a GoFundMe account. I don't even know how to set it up. I don't even know how to get that money. I don't know what that money's for. Or the fact that Sheila, her Jackson put the paper in her lawyer's pocket there, and her lawyers said that they were working pro bono. So why does she have all this money being collected for her? What's she going to do with that money? She didn't even know who was paying for the polygraph. They asked her, did you pay for the polygraph? Well, I don't know. I don't know until, I don't know what expenses I've incurred or anything until everything shakes out. I mean, come on. Let me tell you, whenever I've been on a business trip or anything, I knew what I was paying for, what my company was paying for, everything. I mean, you know. Nobody does that. Nobody hires lawyers but has no idea how they're getting paid or what's, being charged to her, whether she pays for the polygraph. Like, come on. Nobody does business like that. And I'm not talking about this as a business, but the lawyers would have made it abundantly clear to her what she pays for and what she doesn't. And if they were pro bono, which all of a sudden she looked surprised, oh, they're not paying, I'm not paying for them. She would have known. You know how much lawyers rack up? Like every 5 minutes, you're like watching it like a meter on a taxi. It's like, oh my gosh, it's taking him longer. Yeah. Okay, the Democrats are playing a high-level con game in their vicious effort to destroy a fine person. It is called the politics of destruction. Behind the scenes of the Dems are laughing. Pray for Brett Kavanaugh and his family. And I would urge you to do that, as I will and am. He needs all the prayers of, if you are a believer, then please pray. I know that not everyone that listens is, and that is absolutely fine as well. But if you are a believer, please pray for him and his family. And you know what? It wouldn't hurt to pray for Dr. Ford either, because there's something there. She is either being led around by the nose by the Democrats or somebody's paying her. She's a puppet to somebody. So whether she's doing this of her own free will or she is a puppet caught in a game that she didn't want to be part of, I don't know. None of us know. And this has understandably flown under the radar, but it seems pretty important. According to the Montgomery County Chief of Police and State Attorney, in 1982, what Christine Ford alleges Brett Kavanaugh did was a misdemeanor, so the statute of limitation has already expired in 1983. So, there you go. The statute of limitation has expired, but we now have the FBI investigating it. And it wasn't even a rape. A little bit of overkill, don't you think? But that's just me. Perhaps I am just, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I will be back tomorrow, and hopefully there will be something to make me happy. So I'll be in a better mood, because I just sound like, just, I don't know. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you have a good night. Stay safe and stay well, and I will be back soon, hopefully. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.